I'll ask random questions and whatnot, and yeah.
Oh, great. For those, well, Cindy, just a quick, well, Sasha, why don't you give Cindy just a 30-second, your Rotary, how you got to here through Rotary, starting with what, Interact, was it?
Okay, 10 years ago, I got the Rotary Exchange Scholarship, and I said I'd go anywhere, so they sent me to Japan. I lived here for a year. Unfortunately, that was the year the 3/11 earthquake happened, so I got a really unique experience. But after sort of connecting so deeply with the country, I decided to pursue it in university, go into teaching, and hopefully come back, which I did. But now the running joke is Sasha can't have a regular year in Japan because we're in the COVID pandemic now. So I am determined to have one full normal year living here, and then I can go home and put the chapter to rest. But yeah. So I just got inducted into the Osaka City like Rotaract Club, which is great. So I'm really happy about that.
Sasha's gone through the whole thing though, Interact, Rotaract, exchange student,
Yeah.
Rotaractor, then a Rotarian at Victoria, and then now a Rotaractor and a Rotarian again. It's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really great. What an experience. Okay, let's go ahead and we'll get going with introducing the newest members. First of all, happy Rotary New Year to everyone who's here. Oh, what happened? We lost Cindy. And I want to go ahead and get started. I was going to start with Lou and Kathy because you are the senior of the newer members.
Senior.
I had to be careful how I say this. So whichever one of you wants to go first, a 5-minute classification talk or more. See, 5, 10, 15, 20. Yeah, that'll work. Okay.
So, all right, I'll go. I'm a more senior Rotarian.
Okay.
So I'm going to just tell about my career and then how I got into Rotary. Okay, is that all right? So I was going to be a teacher. When I graduated from college, teaching there just weren't very many positions. So I ended up, kind of long story short, ended up working for a computer company called Digital Equipment Corporation, or DEC. At the time, it was the second largest computer company, guys. I don't see any recognition there. The VAX 780, VAX 780, PDP 11. No. Anyway, it was a great company, the best company in the world, actually. It was like work hard, play hard, do the right thing for your customer. So I was went back to school, got some computer training, and able to advance within the company, and ended up, my last job was as a sales rep. Then Lou and I met there, and I said I didn't want to work at the same company as him. He didn't want anyone to know we were dating. Anyway, I ended up going into a variety of sales positions. I sold for a company called Symbolics, which was artificial intelligence. I sold for at one point I covered 10 states, and another point I covered 5 states. And at this time, when we got married, I had 2 teenagers, young teenagers. So I would get up real early in the morning and get on the plane, fly wherever I was going to go for a couple days and fly back. So I wasn't gone too awfully long. You guys, I'm old enough that these are the days before the cell phone. So here I am traveling on the road, single woman by myself in the dark, whatever, having to find a payphone that looked safe, to use. And then at one point, then I sold to the newspaper industry, which is probably the job I liked the best. And I sold front-end systems, or what they were doing then is going from page makeup manually to electronic page makeup. So it was kind of an exciting time, I would say, that I lived in, starting with like selling a 1 megabyte VAX, which 1 megabyte is nothing anymore. So we kind of in the early days of the computers, it was really fun. So like 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000, you know. Then let's see. We were living at the time in Half Moon Bay, and we decided that we really, really needed a change, that we were felt stuck. So we did a lot of research and thinking. We read a little book called Who Moved My Cheese, which kind of said, are you doing the same thing over and over again? And we kind of were. So we took a big leap and we moved to Montana. And that's where I became a Rotarian. I wasn't working at the time and Lou was. So I was like, oh, what do I do? And someone said, what about Rotary? And I had never heard of it. So joined Rotary in Big Fork, Montana. And probably, you know, all clubs are different, but it was probably my best club because it was small and, you know, was Montana, and it was just nice. Then eventually we moved to Washington State because we decided that, how do I put it? Okay, so if we decided by the time we got to 80, we didn't want to be shoveling snow 6 months out of the year, have our grandkids in California. So we moved to Washington. I joined a Rotary club there, and then myself and another person started another Rotary club that was a no meal club. It's called Gig Harbor North.
Yeah.
And I was president 1 year of that. And
in the second year.
Yeah, in the second year. Started a race across the Tacoma Narrows Bridge for a fundraiser. Got a matching grant with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation for homeless families. And then we've joined 2 e-clubs. One down in Southern California, because we were traveling down there a lot in our RV, and then this one. And now we live in Gig Harbor, Washington, and that's it.
Great. Great.
Wow.
Thank you, Kathy. That's pretty good. That's pretty impressive.
Any questions for her?
No.
Anybody? Go ahead. I'm intrigued that you were in tech so early on. That's terrific.
Yeah, let's see. I worked it back from 1979 to 1985, and then went on to other places. So I guess basically the 80s and 90s.
Yeah. Terrific. Lou, I think you're next.
All right, so some dates I'd like you to remember. 1969, 1976, 1985, 2001. Okay, I'm going to come back to that and see if we can piece this together. So I was born and raised in a state in the Midwest called Illinois. Now, have you ever heard the term, if it plays anywhere, it'll play in Peoria? If it plays in Peoria, it'll play anywhere?
Yep.
Well, I lived in a little small town about 40 miles north of Peoria called Kewanee, Illinois. That stands for prairie chicken.
That's what it's like.
So, born and raised there, my high school graduation class was 125, all right? I graduated in 1969. I was very fortunate to receive a scholarship, both academic as well as athletic, in golf to a private university. And I was able to do a number of things there. It was probably one of the enjoyment times. Graduated as an engineer and a computer science. And from there, Lean forward, okay. Once I finished that, and I was really considering about moving into a pro, but it was my father said, you had enough playtime. It's time to go out and get a real job now. And so therefore I did. But I really didn't know what I really wanted to do upon graduation. And I was very fortunate to be hired by General Electric, GE as it's known. And they put me into a management program, a 2-year program where it gave me different assignments. So one of the highlights of my assignment is I got to work in the defense area. So Probably you have heard, and it is still in use, the Minuteman missiles. As GE, we made the electronics for that. Okay, moving right quick. I also worked on the aircraft engines and did some other things. Moved quickly. After I did, I says, I don't want to stay at GE. It's a place to retire from. And I was too young. Moved there to a place into a company called Digital Equipment Corporation in the Midwest. From there, I got a transfer because I wanted to move westward. I thought Colorado. They moved me all the way out to California, San Francisco. And there, I had various assignments. In 1985, I found my love and married her. Okay. And from there, I went on to different assignments. Spent 15, 16 years at Digital. Went to a company called Sun Microsystems.
Yeah.
And which maybe people know in that technology. Then I went to a startup that actually we went public. All right. We were rich for a while on paper. One of the things to learn is that it takes about 5 years if you're successful to go public. It takes another 5 years to stay alive. And that didn't happen. We got out with some money, not all, not any, according to my wife. We went to then different small things. And then I ended up as a contractor. And then what was highly unusual, I was 60 years of age, and Microsoft usually does not hire people at 60 years of age. They liked the work that I was bringing to the table, that they made me an offer that I thought was too good to pass up. So I joined them for the remaining of my career. And then we decided, let's go out and enjoy life. My hobbies is continually golf. We play pickleball. We do a lot of camping, so we belong to the Rotary RV Club.
When did you become a Rotarian?
God, I became a Rotarian here as a charter member.
Gig Harbor North.
Gig Harbor North. Served as as a president. I served as secretary on a board. We also did an intergeneration.
Oh, Intergen Fest.
Intergen Fest of bringing seniors and youth together. As Kathy mentioned, we did a fundraising type of thing. So we really got the charter club moving to do various things. But we do like to travel, and this sort of fits more with our agenda of be able to travel and participate in meetings with over video conferencing. That's about it in my things. I am practicing my drone flying now. And so far I have crashed successfully. I'm able to take off, able to move it, and actually end up in several trees. That's about it.
I want to say we've gone to a few international conventions, Toronto, New Orleans, and one other one. Oh, and Montreal.
Great. Did you go during the, was it the 100th anniversary of Rotary?
No, we should have.
Yeah, that's too bad.
You?
I didn't know. I would have. I wish I had, but it just
we were
wasn't
signed up for Hawaii.
Yeah. Too bad for that too. So Lou,
yes.
Kathy was very, very good in her talk, but I have questions for you.
Please.
What is your handicap?
My handicap in college was a 4, and presently today I play to between about 11.
Okay,
my
83,
handicap today.
83, 84. Yeah.
And there, and occasionally I shoot down. I have a what do they call? One of those moments of grandeur where I can shoot close to par.
Fantastic. Yeah, one of those
my
great days.
My handicap is 34.
Well, I just tell everybody, I'm just what do they call it? They call it Callaway. That way you don't have to know my score. And what school did you graduate from? How'd you get it?
I went to Bradley University. It was the Missouri Valley Conference at that time.
Okay. Bradley, and they gave golf scholarships, huh?
Yes, they did.
Wow.
They didn't have much of a football team, but they had a course. They're famous for basketball, but they had golf, track, and I believe tennis and some other sports like that.
Terrific. Wow, that is great.
But my highlight of my life, besides meeting my wife, is I got to play at Scotland's where golf began, St. Andrews, and I got to the
last year.
The course, manager put me with two Scotsmen, and that was a riot to play with them.
Thank God we did that when we did.
So I'm letting Sasha didn't know what a golf handicap was, so I'm letting her write down how many shots over par on the average. There we go. That about right?
That's about right.
That's about right. So Sasha, if a golf course is a par 72 and you continually shoot 75, you have a 3 handicap.
Do you play golf, Sasha?
Never played golf.
When you come back to Canada.
Yeah, I think the most interaction I've had with a golf course is walking my dog around.
Great place to do that. Any other questions for Lou? Because, and I don't know if you're ready, Marcello, but you're the next senior member of the club, new member of the club, I should say. And I'm really anxious to hear about you because you spend part of your year in the Southern Hemisphere, right?
I did, yes.
Yeah.
So I was originally born in Uruguay in South America.
Okay.
I knew from when I was very young that I wanted to do something related to computers. But then I watched TV and I was a fan of Law and Order. So for a little bit, I wanted to be a lawyer. But then I learned what lawyers actually do. And there is a lot of paperwork. So that was not my thing. So my parents bought me a computer. When all the other kids were playing Nintendo, I was programming DOS. So that gave me a little bit of a leg up. And so then I went to college in Uruguay to study computer science. I graduated, I worked over there for a little bit. And then I happened to have a cousin over here in Miami who got a job at Microsoft. So he sent me an email one day saying, hey, do you want to apply to Microsoft? And I was like, sure, why not? So I sent my resume in and it got selected. And then Microsoft flew me here for a week, which was a very tricky week because it was very sunny. So I went home with the idea that Pacific Northwest was going to be a sunny, nice place. I was so wrong. Also, that was my second time getting on a plane. And the longest trip ever was to come here to Seattle. But then they sent me back because the way immigration works, they can't tell you what happened until you're at home because they had to prevent you from overstaying. So I had to wait, and then they said that I had a job, and then I had to go through a long process, and about 8 months later, I flew again, and then I was living in the US.
Wow.
In a very spoiled part of the US. I don't know, the previous person, if you got this experience. So Microsoft hires a person to help you around. So by the time I landed here, I had a rental apartment, a car, and a person who was driving me around, helping me get my driver's license and all the paperwork. And for a while, I thought that was what everybody was getting. I was like, wow, this country is awesome. People are so nice, and you get all this service. It took me a while until I started traveling to see the change. Then I studied here for a while. I continued working for Microsoft. I was in multiple places, mostly in Visual Studio. And then I switched jobs and went to work for Tableau, the visualization company. And then Tableau got sold to Salesforce. And now I work for a startup in Seattle called Sound Commerce. And so we do aggregation and analysis for e-commerce. So I'm going to the smaller and smaller company. After this is going to be me and 2 other people, because I went from 100,000 to 1,000 to 20. So the trend's trending to 0. I joined Rotary about 2007, when I was here, I just sent an email to the Redmond Rotary. And I was like, I've always been intrigued about what Rotary is. So I was there for a while. At the beginning, I participated quite a lot. Then I kind of started slacking. I'm also involved with the Boy Scouts. So that's the thing I did when I was in Uruguay as a kid. So when I came here, I stayed involved. But now I tell people I'm a high-level bureaucrat with the Boy Scouts, which means I sign documents that approve stuff, but I have not been in a tent in a long time. And I help with international scouting. So I help run a thing called Inter-American Foundation, which is the America's scouting fundraising arm. So that is my volunteering piece. And then that distracted me a little bit from Rotary and the new job, which was farther away from the place. So that's why I decided to swap to online. But then I also teach. So last quarter, I was teaching 5 days a week from 6 to 9 p.m. So that's what prevented me from going to a lot of the meetings. Now it seems to be going better in the summer, and let's see what happens in the fall.
Great, great. Online teaching. How is that working?
I love it, but everybody else hates it. I think the biggest piece that I would tell people is, if you want to learn how to teach, do Boy Scouts. Because in an online class, people are trained to be nice, but when you work with younger kids who have no filter, now you know if you're an entertaining, good presenter, because they have no mercy on you. So being able to do that keeps the class entertaining. But the professors who speak for 3 hours on Zoom, I can't see a way in which somebody will be happy. It's too long. And the distractions are too close to you.
What do you teach?
I started teaching programming, so you may have, I taught algorithmic programming. Then I did interview programming. And now I do that and data analysis.
I laughed at Sasha when you said you had the rental car and somebody to guide you around. Her mouth just dropped wide open.
I thought it was for everyone. And it was for everyone for a while because other people I knew had the same thing.
That's funny.
I want one of those to read my mail. I get like so many pieces of letters saying you owe $400. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I also remember they had to teach you like US for dummies. So for example, the one that I remember the most is don't bribe the police. Because in Uruguay, bribing the police was a normal thing. And so they gave us this like thick manual, like don't do this, don't do that. We know this happens in other countries, but don't do that in here.
Whole cultural change in education. Yeah.
Yes, too many things that can get you in jail here will be like normal in Uruguay.
Oh yeah.
Like copying movies or listening to music in your computer without paying royalties. Like so many things that were traditional in Uruguay are completely illegal in here.
Any other questions for Marcelo? That's fast. Oh, that I do really am glad to have you here because in our club, because when we get further into the year, I want to have a club assembly where we talk about where we want to go this year and the things we want to do. And your experience in District 5030 will help us a lot. For those of you who don't know the boundaries, 5030 essentially is the Seattle area, that whole King County and a little bit north, up to about Everett, I think. So there, yeah, Kathy.
Do you have a family, Marcelo?
I do not. My parents are back in Uruguay, and I dedicated too much time to computer science. So that part I haven't resolved. One more tidbit. I went to Uruguay 2 years ago, and I got invited to go to Rotary in Uruguay. So I went to visit, and it was me, and the other visitor was the president of Rotary International that for some reason was in Uruguay at that particular moment. So I got a chance to take a picture with the president back then.
Who was that?
I completely forgot his name. He was not from the US.
From Ireland? No.
How long ago? What year maybe?
That was 2018.
2018. Sasha, you're so fast with the computer. Who was the Rotary International President in 2018?
Shall
Tap,
I
tap, tap,
ask?
tap, 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 tap. Sasha's so quick at this. She'll be able to tell us.
I will send you the picture when the.
It looks
What?
like it was berry raisin.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Barry Rassin, sure.
Yeah.
Barry Rassin.
Oh, raisin.
Oh yeah,
not
yeah, that
raisin.
person. Yeah, absolutely, yes.
Barry Rassin, yeah. Awesome. Huh. That's great. Not many people get that opportunity, right?
I know, and I was
Yeah.
basically in the middle of nowhere at that point. We were just both here at the same time.
Fantastic. Great. That's a great Rotary experience, by the way, to be able to have to stand and actually talk with the RI president for a bit, hopefully bend their ear. Any other questions for Marcelo before we go to Paul? Okay. Paul, you're on, sir.
Okay. Well, I'm glad I got here in time to at least do my talk.
Yeah.
As some of you don't know, my name is Paul Ofston. I am just transferred in from East Bremerton Rotary. I grew up in California for 18 years until I was old enough to know that there was too much concrete, too many cars, too many people. And so I joined the Navy when I was 18 and never looked back. So went in the Navy for 20 years and did a lot of traveling. I added it up, one of our members mentioned how many countries he had been to, and I had to go back and add up all my countries. I've been to 56 different countries.
Yeah.
And most of those were Navy, traveling around. I'm thinking about golf. I'm one of those golfers that I just like to hit the ball. I got a really high handicap because I can't, I only go for the ones where it's best ball. You got to force them, and the person who hits it the best, that's the ball you use.
Yeah.
But surprisingly, Sasha, most of my golf has been in Japan.
It's so popular here.
I lived in Japan from 1982 to 1984 in Atsugi. And there was a place called Camp Zama, a little army base, and they had a golf course. So I went and played a lot of golf and chased a lot of golf balls and tried to stay away from the mamushi snakes that were hiding in the bushes, and lost a lot of balls. But I enjoy playing it. If there's a tournament coming, a Rotary tournament, I'm in it playing because I enjoy batting the ball around. Takes out a lot of frustration. But yeah, my 20 years in the Navy, I was what's called aviation support equipment. It's a over-glorified auto mechanic. When you go to an airport, all of the equipment that is on the ground for towing the planes, starting the planes, air conditioning for the planes, ladders and stands to get up on the planes, jacks to jack them up, that's what I worked on. I was a mechanic for that kind of equipment on aircraft carriers, basically. And in my tours in the Navy, I was on the Constellation, VF-211, which was an F-14 squadron, USS New Orleans, which kind of interesting, is a helicopter carrier very similar to the one that's on fire down in San Diego right now. Then the USS Nimitz twice. I did 2 tours on the Nimitz. One med cruise, and then brought her around to the West Coast, and where she dropped me off in Bremerton to never move away from. And then I went on her again, 93 to 96, and I retired off of her in 96. So had a wonderful Navy career. I enjoyed every minute of it. I really did. Well, I would say, no, there was 1 minute I didn't enjoy, and that was about 40 minutes. We were in the middle of Indian Ocean. At 3 o'clock in the morning, we were woken by the announcement system saying, fire, 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 fire on the flight deck. We had 40-foot flames on the flight deck in the middle of the Indian Ocean with nowhere to run. It was put the fire out or sink. And we had it out in about 40 minutes. They had it out. It totally roasted 5 planes. We ended up pushing planes over the side because they were just skeletons. They were burned so badly. But that's one thing that I learned is in the Navy, you do not want to be out at sea when you have a fire. But I was fortunate, the Navy really took me around the world and got me a taste of what I love now, is I really love traveling. And so as I did my 20 years, and now I sit back and collect my pension. Let's see, as I said, the Navy brought me to Bremerton, and when I saw how beautiful and green and wonderful Washington was, I said, I am never leaving here. I get a lot of crap from my wife about it, because she's born and raised here in Washington, and I'm from California. And I have brought all of my family up here to Bremerton, or up to the Seattle area. And I get a lot of crap for that too. But it's nice having the family around. I still have my mom, 92-year-old mother that I look after, and she lives about a half mile from me. So I got out of the Navy in 1996, kind of similar to Marcelo. I went to college and got myself 3 degrees here at Olympic College in Bremerton, computer programming, computer hardware, and business, and all technical degrees. But all I wanted was the knowledge. I couldn't care less about the degrees. I ended up teaching there at OC for a few years, and which I loved. And I get to announce it here because my wife knows I'm going to tell everybody that my wife was one of my students while I was teaching at OC. So fortunately, I quit teaching before we got together, but it's been a happy 17 years since then. And but she loves when I tell that story, because she gets all embarrassed. But I really love teaching. I have always enjoyed teaching, especially when you can get across to these young people and they actually understand it. When you're teaching programming and stuff, I was teaching really old stuff, COBOL and Pascal and C++, stuff that, Marcelo probably has hardly even heard of. But there again, he did work did some programming in DOS. So, that is really going back to the basics. And, so I taught there for a couple years and owned my own business, building computers and selling them to people. But I realized I couldn't compete with the Hewlett Packards and them that were mass producing them. So I moved from there and got a job doing DirecTV and Dish Network as an installer, and learned very quickly there was the only place that there was money in that business was being a retailer. So I very quickly became my own retailer, my own installer, and we did that. Deb and I did that together. We would go out on the jobs every day together. She would go in and hook up all the inside stuff and throw me out in the rain where I could hook up the dish and get everything wired. But we did that for about 9 years and then sold our business. We sold it when we had about 5,000 customers. Oh. And I was still, at that time, I joined Rotary about 2004. So that was about the middle of while I was in business. I joined business thinking it was a business networking group. I found out quickly it wasn't. However, the good thing about Rotary is everybody knows that you're trustworthy and honorable, and so the business just comes. You don't have to network it, but we did that, and as I sold the business, and my wife was very diligent about saving, and so we invested in rental houses, and kept our rental houses till about 2 years ago, and decided, after a couple of clashes with the county, decided, what are we still in business for? Let's just sell all of our rentals and retire. So we did that, and I have been retired ever since and loving it. When I married my wife 17 years ago, she had only been out of the country once. And I told her, I said, this was how I got her to marry me, was that, let me show you the world. Is that I've been everywhere in the world, every continent. I haven't been on Antarctica, but I have been all over the world. And so I've been taking her, try every year to take her somewhere, and her, the kids, sometimes we take mom and dad, and have just traveled a lot. And sometimes we do it her way, which she's a Virgo. So that means everything has to be planned down to the gnat's rear. But sometimes I'm an Aquarius. So sometimes we get to do it my way, which is we just fly by the seat of my pants. We did a France trip where all I did is I got a hotel room when I got there and a hotel room when I left and a rental car. And we just drove around, found a B&B, stayed there for the night, and just had an absolute ball. But she doesn't really appreciate those kind of trips as much as I do. She also doesn't like the back alleys like I do. I'm one to, just go find an old back alley where people hardly speak English, but you can find, native food to wherever you're at. And, but yes, I love going to those back alleys, and yes, I just have to try and be a little safer to keep Deb protected. Let's see, family. So Deb and I have been together for 17 years. We have 3 boys, both from our prior marriages. Mine is 33 and 38, and mine is 31 and 38, and Deb's is 33. So we have those 3 boys, and then we have adopted some of their former girlfriends as goddaughters. So we now have a couple of goddaughters to boot. And we love them, and we see them a whole lot more. In fact, one of them just gave me a grandbaby, so I get to see my grandbaby regularly. And we have a cat, about 200 Japanese koi. We have 3 ponds in our yard, and just love sitting out there by the ponds. I have 200 koi, 4 red-eared slider water turtles, and an albino catfish.
Wow.
So we do enjoy our yard, and it's one of the highlights of our life. Is Deb loves to work in the yard. I hate to work in the yard, but I do it once in a while. I work on a pond once in a while. My favorite thing in life is my cars.
Yeah.
I own 26 cars. I have everything from my oldest is a 1928 Dodge Brothers Senior 6 Cabriolet. I have lots of, as I said, antiques and classics, 29 Model A, 55 Chevy 4-door, Corvette. My wife's is a 68 GT convertible Mustang. She's very much a Mustang gal, and she's been rubbing off on me. I think I have 10 Mustangs right now. I'm building a couple of 67 fastbacks. So I tinker on my cars every day, whether it be tinkering on my cars or helping somebody else. I have 3 great big garages. My garages are bigger than my house. We have 5 acres, so we have room for the big garages, along with, I also have a 3-car carport. So most of them are actually garaged. It's pretty impressive to have that many in a garage. And I have multiple auto lifts so that I have some that are actually on lifts so that another one can park underneath it. So the tricks we learn over the years. But here lately, I have been working on my 29 Model A and my 28 Dodge Brothers, and I've really had to go back to basics. I had to get them running, and had to learn, they have what's called a positive ground instead of a negative ground, in a 6-volt system, which is very different from what we have today. Nothing is computerized, and everything you have to rebuild it yourself because you can't find the parts for it. Mm-hmm. So I've been rebuilding the brakes on the Dodge and trying to find individual components, but it's tough finding them. To find the right sizes and everything, you really have to know the sizes of every individual thing. But anyways, I love the cars. I love working on them, tinkering on them. It's just my absolute favorite hobby in life. Sports, I used to do a lot until I had a knee replacement 2 years ago. I've really had to cut back on the racquetball and the snow skiing and the water skiing, all the things that I really love, but because the knee just isn't allowing it. Now they're telling me they might have to take my nice new 2-year-old knee and replace it because I'm having a lot of issues with it, which I wasn't sure could be done, but I get to go see a doctor here in about a week and a half in Gig Harbor and go talk to them and see what they can do for me. So I joined Rotary and
good. I was just going to ask you about Rotary.
Yep. So I joined Rotary in about 2004. I was originally in the Polsbo Club because that was the center of my business. And so, and I was thinking it was a business networking group. So that's where I wanted to be. And was a wonderful club, big club though, 140 members. Very, very big club. And it was a lot of fun. They advertise themselves as the funnest club in the area, but they're not. East Bremerton is the funnest. But anyways, I've always been involved in youth exchange, youth protection, and international. Youth exchange. I just got off the district. Actually, I'm still on the district committee because I still do the scholarships for our students, the Lee Bellis Scholarship. I'm their chairman. But I just recently gave up one of my other positions doing their website. But don't tell anybody that I know how to do websites, because they'll hire me. So I've been in those three particular things about Rotary, and I absolutely love my exchange students. Last year's trip, we did nothing but go and visit exchange students. We traveled from the Netherlands. We drove from the Netherlands down through Germany, France, Switzerland, and down to Spain, visiting former exchange students and staying with them in their homes. Absolutely phenomenal trip. Absolutely phenomenal. In fact, I owe a young lady in Atsugi named Maori. She was my exchange student 2 or 3 years ago, and I owe her a trip to go visit her in Atsugi. So, she's in the county of Kanagawa, but she's wanting me to come visit, and so we're hoping to be able to travel again. We've canceled all of our trips this year. We were actually supposed to go to China in October and go to England in May, and canceled everything. We're staying home for a while. Yeah. International trips. Just recently I got involved with the Friendly Waters of the World, and I went with the Flying Doctors of Mercy down to Mexico and did water filtration systems there in a little town in Mexico, and that was a great trip. I got to be a teacher again because we basically had 30 members from the town that we taught everything there was to know about the filters and how to build them, how to maintain them, so that, their philosophy is to not just go down and do wells for people or do the water filters for people. It's to teach them how to do it themselves. Mm-hmm. So really fabulous organization. I had a wonderful time down with them. Prior to that, I've been down to Mazatlan with Rotary to work at a hospice down there to basically repair their building and fix their equipment and help them become self-sufficient. They aren't supported by the government whatsoever, so everything is fundraising. And we took a whole bunch of students down, a bunch of exchange students, as well as some Interact students with us, and about a dozen Rotarians. And let's see, prior to that, I went down to Zihuatanejo, and Deb and I chaperoned 20 Interact students to go down and work at an indigenous school down there that taught the indigenous languages of Mexico. And so, which is a very specialized school in Mexico, and they are the poorest in the country. And so we worked at that school. I built a kindergarten classroom out of chicken wire and palm tree wood, but we had a lot of fun and taking the students down. The students just, I have always taken my exchange students with me when I go on mission trips. I mean, every time, and they get more out of it than anything, because across the world, most of them don't experience mission trips like we do. My students from the Netherlands and from Norway, I mean, they came back from the mission trip going, OMG. They just had no idea what it was really like in a third world country where, the highlight of a kid's day is playing with a ball of tape that we give them, and hitting it around with a stick, and they're happy. They don't have to have a cell phone to be happy. They don't have to have a tablet. And, they come back with a new appreciation of their lives and, how they can really help in society. So it's really has been a wonderful experience for me as well, taking them down there on these mission trips. The worst one was my one boy from the Netherlands that I took down there, and he went in a hot tub, a saltwater hot tub, with his cell phone in his pocket.
Oh,
He was
well.
and he had only had it for like 2 months. His parents were livid.
Yeah.
And his parents were one of the ones we stayed with in the Netherlands, and I mean they just treated us like kings. I mean, I went to the Netherlands, and I'm going with them to their Rotary meeting, and I'm informed on the way there to the meeting that I was going to be their speaker. So I got to basically do a talk just like today about, this is what I've been doing in Rotary, but it was so good. I guess they all spoke English. So, I mean, really was an easy one to do because everybody there knew English. But other than that, I built homes in Mexico for the poor, built feeding centers. That was through a church down in Mazatlan. We would go down and build a feeding center, and then they would groom people coming out of prison to man these feeding centers. They would live there, and then they would feed the children in the mornings. And that way the children, these were in neighborhoods that were new neighborhoods where everybody was still living in a pallet house or a cardboard box or whatever. And the children would come to the feeding centers to be fed in the morning, so they get one nutritious meal a day. And so, it was just their way of, that was their mission. And our church up here, worked with the church down there, which was a wonderful experience. But other than that, we love camping, we love traveling, and love Rotary.
Paul, you've had an amazing Rotary background. I
really love Rotary. Yeah, I really love Rotary. I've really enjoyed it.
Absolutely. That's fantastic. Hang on, I'm just chatting somebody here. That's amazing. I'm so glad you're in the club because your depth of experience and your enthusiasm is going to be really valuable for us, especially when we start getting to the club assembly. Just two quick things for you. One, you haven't been to Antarctica, but you will be next month. Fred Wright down here has photographed it, and you're going to see that next month. Okay.
Oh, okay.
All right. And the other thing is,
you'll want to go. You'll want to go. Believe me.
I'm sure. Yeah, that's right. I'd also like to go to Galapagos Islands, and I hear they're open now. So,
Paul, what was the name of your company? Your digital, your direct.
When I did that, my company name was Satellite Resources. Here in Silverdale, and we did the whole west coast of Washington. Wow. We traveled all over the place.
I'll be darned. Who'd you sell to?
Anybody.
Who'd you sell your company to?
He was actually a gentleman that I kind of traded business with, because while I was doing satellite, he was working for a local company that doing high-end audio video. And so, selling big screen TVs and sound systems. And he came to me and asked me, after I had been looking for a couple of years for somebody to take it over, because I didn't want to just shut it down, because I had loyalty to my customers. And I wanted somebody to take it over that was going to take care of my customers.
I thought maybe you'd sold out to DirecTV or somebody,
no.
Millions.
Unfortunately, they're going that way. They want, both Dish Network and DirecTV want to be doing everything themselves. They've really been pushing out the independent retailers, but the customers get a lot better experience. I mean, to give you an idea, when I was in business, I answered my phone everywhere. I answered my phone in France. I answered my phone when I was up snow skiing. I mean, if somebody called me needing help with their remote, I answered the phone to help them. And I did that all the way up until I retired.
Yeah, that's the value of small family-owned businesses, right?
Yes, it is. It is.
All right.
Hey, Paul, a quick question for you about your cars.
Yes.
Do you enjoy driving them, or you just enjoy working on them?
Oh, no. I love driving them too. Okay. We take them to shows, and I wish we could have fitted in my wife's convertible Mustang. We have a whole bunch of carriage and old Western wagon axles and things that we're taking down to, oh shoot, what town are we going to, Deb? They're going down to Raymond tomorrow to drive down and deliver all of these axles and stuff to a heritage museum. And I originally told my wife, the Mustang Club went down there Saturday to go tour the museum. And I said, well, shoot, let's just throw a blanket in the back of your car. We could throw all these parts in the car and drive the Mustang down there. Yeah, that didn't go very far. She didn't think anything of it. And I'm going to show you, see if I can put it on the screen. So
hold it up higher. There you go.
There you go.
That's my wife's Mustang.
Yeah, I can see why she wouldn't want axles being hauled.
Yeah, you don't want the grease in the back of that car.
But yeah, we love driving the cars. I like my hot rods, and she likes her nice stock Mustang. And I'm not partial. I mean, I have an MG Midget that I love to drive, and I loved riding my motorcycle, my Harley, whenever I can get it out.
Cool.
Well, Paul, we have to catch up another time offline because we have a lot in common.
Oh, okay, good.
I'll after this meeting, I'll exchange both of you your emails so you can get together.
Okay.
And
Sweet.
now, the very brand newest member of our club, from direct from Las Vegas, Cindy.
There's a Cindy here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hi, Cindy.
She had herself on mute. There she is.
I have myself on mute. So first of all, I really like Bill's background, and I'd like to know how he got that background, because that's very cool. You got your Rotary background on there.
I'll tell you real quickly how you do it. Go on to Rotary.org.
Volunteer.
And, by the way, are all of you registered on the Rotary International website?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
And if you aren't, you just go to there. You put your name in, your email that you use, like for this club, and a temporary password, and then Rotary scans through the database, says, oh yeah, we know you're a Rotarian. They'll send you a pass, they'll confirm you, and then once you're in, you can go to their what do they call it? Logos. They have a whole section for logos, and in there are virtual backgrounds like this for Zoom meetings. They have a whole packet. I mean, I've got one for polio. I've got one for what's the other one? For all the avenues of service now and the areas of focus. Anyway, sorry, Cindy, go ahead.
That's okay. So thank you for having me. I used to have a business where I dealt with senior citizens. I would move them into assisted living and then have estate sales with all the contents of their house, because it's a big deal, especially in Las Vegas. A lot of people would move there and they would retire and their families weren't from there. So that was my original classification. Now my classification is called retired, which is very nice. But I joined in 2007. A friend of mine invited me, and I don't even think I could run you through all of the different things I've done for Rotary. I mean, it was a big club and there was a lot of activity and we did everything. But probably the one thing that stands out for me in Rotary is I still have a Chihuahua that I won, quote unquote, won in a gala auction. So she is now my husband's dog. And so this is what happens when you go to a gala and you raise your paddle and no one bids against you and you end up winning the dog. So we still have the dog from the Rotary gala, and we love her. She's wonderful. But so I've been involved with Rotary. I've done lots of things. You know, when I hear from Sasha that she was in Interact, my first exposure to Interact was a high school thing where they would have the Interact programs. So our club sponsored Kideract, which was for the little kids at grammar school. So the Kideracts, and then the Mideracts, I think it was called, and then Interact was high school, and then Rotaract was college. So that's kind of what I think of when I think of that. But we had RILA, which is Rotary Youth Leadership Awards. We would send kids to there. I mean, there's so many things. Every club is different and every club has a different focus. But in 2016, we moved to Ellensburg, outside of Ellen's clubs there. So I agreed to move there because of that. So, because my husband wanted to be near his kids. And so I joined the Noon Rotary Club, and I love Rotarians. Rotarians are the best people in the world. They're so positive, and we're all going through stuff. 2007, 8, 9, especially in Las Vegas, very difficult financial time for a lot of us. But it was nice to have Rotary was the safe place where everybody got to meet, and life seemed normal, and it was great. And still a lot of my friends are my Rotary friends, and I feel that way everywhere I go. If you see anybody wearing a Rotary logo shirt or a jacket or something, you have an immediate connection with that person. And the Ellensburg Club, they're really big into youth exchange, and every year we have an outgoing and an incoming, and that's exciting to see. Just like Paul was saying, I mean, those exchanges are great, and people remember it forever. But I joined this club because, as you can see, I'm in my RV, because we are on the road probably at least half the year. So if you're going to be in a club, it's really hard to stay connected and to be involved with all of their activities if you're not there. So I've chosen to want to take this tack because I still want to be in Rotary. No matter where I am, I still wanted to be able to go to a Rotary club and be part of that family, or still stay connected to my Ellensburg club if they have things that are going on. They want me because I am a twofer. So my husband is a Rotary Andy. He gets drugged to everything I do anyway. So we're a twofer. We do all the heavy lifting or whatever. But I love Rotary. I want to stay connected, and it's a great message, and I'm glad that they have now chosen to adopt the environment as one of their areas of focus. Yeah. I think that's really super. Yeah. And since we've pretty much almost gotten polio eradicated, it's nice that they have another message. So I'm happy for that. But I've done some of the international stuff, and there's just a plethora of ways you can become involved. But I thank Bill for his conversation with me on the phone. We had a nice long talk, and so I'm excited, and I thank you for welcoming me. And please pray for me, because it's 100 and whatever it is here. It's super hot, so melting. I'm melting.
Oh, I can't believe you have to be there 2 more months.
I don't like it.
Oh. And you have what?
Maybe
2
I'll
more
get
months?
a tan. If you see me, I'll have a tan or something. We'll see.
Okay. You're brave enough to go out in that much heat. Yeah.
I know. If I get gorged, so anyway.
No, that's
nice
great.
To meet you.
And you're from let's see, Ellensburg was 5060, right?
5060. We were an international club, actually.
So yeah, I was going to say, you went up into Canada, Kelowna, and Penticton in that area.
Hamlet.
Yeah.
Penticton. Right.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So I just wanted to say also to Kathy, I don't know, Kathy, you're from Montana. We just came there from Dillon. We were in Dillon. I don't know if you know where that is, but I think it's close to where you were. But anyway, we were just there vacationing before we came here, so that was quite a shock.
From Montana. We're actually from California. We lived in Montana,
right?
But I do know Dillon because I served as the secretary for the district secretary for all of Montana. So I know all.
Okay, so we had fishing there, so that's my husband's motivation. He's a fish person. So anyway, but
we'll have to meet up and go camping together.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, I would love to. And just like Paul, I've been to a lot of countries, but Antarctica, I'm looking forward to next month, Fred.
Yeah, that's it. This just this little talk tonight by everyone is how Rotary experienced you all are, and then how worldly you all are. You've been everywhere. And I know Fred hasn't talked yet tonight, but that's because he's not the new member classification, but Fred's been just about everywhere too. I mean.
Oh, no. My wife's the one that's been in every continent, not me.
Oh, okay. Every
continent.
But you've been to Patagonia and then Antarctica, and
we've been to Africa a couple times. We've
Yeah.
been to Italy a few times, been to
Yeah.
Australia, but
Yeah.
I've never been to Japan. I want to go to Japan. I want to go to China. My wife's been there. I haven't been there, but yeah, there's a lot of places to go, but we're not traveling either. So
No,
No.
unfortunately, we've canceled all our trips for this year.
yeah.
One
so
of them was we got lucky. We got our money back. One of them was we were going to do a cruise on the Baltic.
Oh, wow.
We were going to do Norway, Sweden, Finland, Estonia, St. Petersburg, Copenhagen.
We'll
and,
send you our pictures from that.
We'll send you our pictures. We did that.
Oh, great. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yeah.
I'll save you some money.
Wish you were here.
We had to cancel our cruise, also Viking, this year.
Yeah. Oh, we did Viking. We squeezed Viking in last year, and we did the Rhine and the Rhone. Oh my God, how fantastic. Sasha.
So are we like moving into wrapping up?
Yeah. Yeah, it's 8:10.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're
I just wanted to say I forgot to mention this in the beginning, but I was talking to the Rotaract Club in our meetings, and we wanted to see if like somehow we could organize like a meet or something, because they really want to say hello. They've never interacted with like a partner. We don't have a partner Rotaract Club that's outside of Japan. So they thought it would be really cool. We thought it would be really cool if we could do some kind of, even like a picture or a video at some point that I could show them.
Well, that would be great. What's your idea on that? I mean,
I don't know, but like something that like we just did now, like with the introduction talks, we could do like a really short, like 2-minute version of that, because none of them speak English. I could just translate whatever you guys were saying.
okay.
But yeah, at some point, if we can fit into the schedule, I'd love for everyone just to say like one line about themselves or something, because we can record the meetings on here. So I could just take that after.
Maybe when we do our meeting where we have our club assembly, everybody could just introduce themselves. You know, here's who I am, you know, my career, my Rotary involvement, just bang, 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 all the way through it, right?
Yeah.
And then what I can do is I can post that to YouTube, give you access to it, and you can edit it down to where it would be, you know, a reasonable time frame. What do you think?
Yeah. I was wondering if I could just make like one line and everyone just insert their information. Like, I've been a Rotarian for X amount of years, because that would be the fastest for me to translate.
You want it, you want like just one sentence from everybody?
Yeah, one or two sentences only, but that could probably just be a separate project if we ever had like a minute or two in like another meeting.
Sasha, you know, one of the things you could do is have everybody record a short video with whatever it is you wanted us to talk about, whether it's our Rotary experience or whatever, and we could just forward the video to you, and you could edit it together, and we could do offline. It wouldn't take a lot of time.
Right.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, it would be a very short video, but if everyone's okay doing that.
A lot of translation, right?
Yeah.
Well, I could do that. I learned how to do that with my cell phone. I can do a selfie video now. I learned how to do that.
Okay. Then, that would be greay.
And then it clips it for you. It what do they call it? Not clip, but it reduces it for you before it sends.
Yeah.
She knows that, I'm sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
If we could ever just do it in the meeting, that might be easiest, just because everybody's here and everybody can just sort of online.
All right.
But
all right.
Don't give her any
time
work.
it works.
Yeah, she doesn't need any more work.
All right, let's just do that in a Zoom meeting. And what we can do is we can send an email out to everybody, tell them to be prepared, and everybody will be prepared to do one sentence.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Yeah, I'll send it out. I'll send it out.
Okay.
Of it. Yeah.
That would be cool. Oh, all right.
Okay.
Great. Wow, fantastic, everyone. Does anyone have questions of anyone else? I know we went over, but it was well worth it tonight. Thank you, everyone.
And Sasha is going to stay on with us so that she can meet our grandson, Mason.
Oh, okay. I was wondering who that extra person was there.
Yeah.
I just want to say that you guys have such interesting stories, And what a wonderful, remarkable club this is. Great
Yeah.
people. You all
Yeah.
have very interesting hobbies and histories and work lives. And thank you so much for sharing with us today.
Yeah. In fact, Jen, I brought up a point. Have you ever given a classification talk? Because I know you do some interesting work.
I did when I first joined the Rotary.
Okay, all right.
Oh.
I also hate public speaking. I will just
All right.
confess to that right now.
But you do really well. I have to tell you that Jen's career interests me because every year at a certain time she goes dark, and then all of a sudden she comes back, and it'd be fun sometime to hear about what happens when she goes dark and off out of content.
Oh, I can just answer that right now. I work like around the clock for like 4 months and don't sleep or eat enough and don't do anything at work, and that's it.
You're a legislative aide, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, so busy person. Anybody have anything to ask anyone or anything for the good of the order before we end tonight? And this has been really interesting. Do I have everyone's permission to post this on the website so the other members, if they want to, could click on it and listen to what you've all said tonight? Okay.
Yeah.
Do I hear there's any negatives? Okay, great. Because with the new privacy rules, you have to ask that question first. Paul.
So I do have one question. So typically in a Rotary Club, this time of year we do an address book of all of our membership book. Do we have any kind of a list that has everybody's names, addresses, phone numbers, and emails on it?
I can make one off. I'll tell you what, has everyone gone in and updated all their info on the website? Is there one?
I have not.
You mean Club Runner, right?
In the Club Runner, in our club website, because at least your email and things like that, Paul. Because
do we have a Club Runner?
Yeah, we do. That's our website. Come on, Sasha, you know that.
I have the international, the Rotary International thing, but that and Club Runner is different, right?
That's different. You have Rotary.org, and then you have Rotary5020.org, the district, and then you have Rotary eClub 5020 International, which is us. If you just go on the web and type in Rotary eClub 5020, it should pop right up. You should have a username and password there, Sasha. And if you do, you go in there and update your info. Because from there, what I can do, and Paul, if you go in and do that too, then I can actually create a club directory out of that. Okay. It's all done by and I can send that to every member of the club.
Okay.
All right.
That way we're all able to communicate with each other if we want to.
Absolutely. And I will, Paul and Fred, I'll connect your email so you two can talk about cars and
Perfect.
travel.
Perfect. I look forward to it.
Sounds like fun.
Okay. And what I'm going to do is I can't leave Lou and Kathy and Sasha. So I can't close the meeting. So the other people, if they want to, they can certainly leave now and let you three talk, but I'll still be hanging around.
Okay.
All right.
See y'all next month.